Number 1. Oppress. What makes Savage particularly terrifying is how he was created. This wasn't your typical fall to the dark side story. The Night Sisters literally transformed him through dark magic. Imbued by the power of dark magic, Savage Opress would join his brother, Darth Maul, and help his recovery. Imagine going to bed as a regular guy and waking up as a hulking rage monster with glowing yellow eyes. That's basically Savage's Tuesday. The Night Sisters enhanced his physical strength to superhuman levels, making him capable of snapping necks with one hand and throwing people around like ragdolls. He wielded a double-bladed lightsaber pike that he used more like a club than an elegant weapon. Where other Sith relied on finesse, Savage was pure brutality. Think of him as the Sith equivalent of bringing a sledgehammer to a fencing match. His loyalty to his brother Maul led them on a rampage across the galaxy, culminating in their takeover of Mandalore. But here's the tragedy. Despite all his power, Savage was essentially a pawn. First for Ventress, then for Dooku, and finally for his brother. His death at the hands of Darth Sidious showed that raw strength, without true mastery of the dark side, could only take you so far. Still, for a brief moment, this monster of Dathomir made the galaxy tremble, proving that sometimes in Star Wars, having an intimidating name and the ability to throw people through walls is enough to earn your place among the Sith. Number 2. Darth Momin. While most Sith sought political power or military might, Darth Momin saw himself as an artist, and the dark side was his canvas. At a young age, his artwork led to his imprisonment by those who found it disturbing and repulsive for the very materials he had employed. And by materials, we mean body parts. This guy was making sculptures out of people before he even knew what the Force was. The Sith Lady Darth Shah freed him and trained him in the dark side, but in true Sith fashion, feeling he was second to none, and that calling oneself master was anathema to the dark side, Momin killed Shah. He eventually designed weapons like the Fermata Cage and a superweapon capable of destroying an entire city. But his deepest desire was to freeze people in time during their moment of terror. While other Sith wanted to rule the galaxy, Momin wanted to turn it into a museum of horror. His masterpiece was meant to be a city-destroying weapon that would freeze an entire population in their moment of death, preserving their terror for eternity. Unfortunately for him, the Jedi intervened during Momin's attempt. He lost control of the energy he wielded, and his physical body was destroyed, leaving only his mask with his consciousness inside. But even death couldn't stop this psychopath. His spirit lived on in his mask, eventually helping design Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar. Momin proved that in the galaxy of Star Wars, there's always room for one more flavor of terrifying. Number 3. Darth Tenebrous. As the master who trained Plagueis, he was responsible for passing down the accumulated knowledge of nearly 1,000 years of Sith Lords following the rule of 2. Every technique Plagueis knew, every secret he uncovered about manipulating midi-chlorians and cheating death, began with the foundation Tenebrous provided. In the Sith tradition, the apprentice must surpass the master, which means Tenebrous was powerful enough to train someone who could manipulate life itself. Think about that. This was the Sith Lord who taught the teacher of Emperor Palpatine. He was essentially the grandfather of the Empire, the dark side mentor whose lessons would echo through generations and ultimately result in the destruction of the Jedi Order. The mere fact that he could train and control someone as ambitious and powerful as Plagueis speaks volumes about his own abilities. In the Sith hierarchy, keeping an apprentice like Plagueis in line would require extraordinary power, cunning, and mastery of the dark side. While the exact circumstances of his death remain mysterious in canon, we know from Sith tradition that Plagueis would have eventually surpassed and killed him. It's the way of the rule of 2. But Tenebrous's true legacy lived on through his teachings, passed from Plagueis to Sidious, shaping the destiny of the galaxy for generations to come. He may be a shadow in the current canon, but he was the shadow that taught other shadows how to eclipse the light. Number 4. The Stranger. Chimere. The Stranger operated in the shadows, presenting himself as a harmless smuggler named Chimere. Another former Jedi, the stranger combined a cortosis helmet and gauntlet with unusual lightsaber forms. Cortosis is basically kryptonite for lightsabers. It shorts them out on contact. Imagine showing up to a lightsaber fight wearing armor that makes your opponent's weapon about as useful as a glow stick at a rave. But here's where it gets really wild. The stranger demonstrated the ability to heal with the dark side, something that had previously been thought impossible in canon. This completely breaks our understanding of how the Force works. Healing was supposed to be a light side thing, but the stranger just shrugged and said, "Rules are meant to be broken." He could single-handedly take on entire groups of Jedi, using his cortosis helmet to block Jedi from sensing his attacks while allowing him to focus in the dark side. His philosophy was equally unorthodox. He believed in freedom through the dark side, not just power for power's sake. He wanted an apprentice he called an acolyte, someone who would challenge the Jedi and Sith orthodoxy. The stranger represented a new kind of threat, a Sith who didn't play by anyone's rules, not even the Sith's. In a galaxy where Sith Lords usually announce themselves with red lightsabers and evil speeches, the stranger proved that the most dangerous enemy is the one you never see coming. Number 5. Darth Plagueis. According to Palpatine's tale at the opera, Plagueis was a Dark Lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. This wasn't just some party trick. Plagueis was essentially playing God with the fundamental building blocks of existence. He could save others from death, manipulating the very essence of life itself. But here's where the story gets deliciously ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself. His apprentice killed him in his sleep, which is both the most Sith thing ever, and also, surprisingly, mundane. You master the secret of eternal life, become one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and then you die because you forgot the first rule of being a Sith. Never trust your apprentice, especially during nap time. The indication is that Sidious was that apprentice, though Palpatine is about as trustworthy as a hungry rancor in a petting zoo. What's particularly chilling is that we still don't know the full extent of what Plagueis discovered or what knowledge he passed to Sidious. Did his experiments in creating life have something to do with Anakin's miraculous conception? Was the entire Skywalker saga set in motion by a Sith science experiment? The fact that Palpatine knew this story well enough to use it to seduce Anakin to the dark side suggests he learned quite a bit from his master before the inevitable betrayal. Plagueis represents the Sith at their most ambitious. Not content with mere galactic domination, he sought to dominate death itself. Number 6. Darth Tyrannus, Count Dooku. Count Dooku wasn't always a Sith Lord. He was once one of the most respected Jedi Masters in the Order, trained by Yoda himself. But Dooku became disillusioned with the Jedi and the Republic, seeing corruption where others saw democracy. He left the Jedi Order and became Darth Tyrannus to take Darth Maul's place as Palpatine's apprentice. This wasn't some angsty teenager falling to the dark side. This was a distinguished gentleman who looked at the state of the galaxy and decided evil had better retirement benefits. Dooku mastered the lightsaber fighting style Makashi, the fencing style of lightsaber combat. While other Sith are swinging their sabers like clubs, Dooku's conducting a deadly ballet. He defeated both Obi-Wan and Anakin simultaneously in Attack of the Clones, and even held his own against Yoda. The man was in his 80s and fighting like he was 25. As the leader of the Separatist Alliance, Dooku orchestrated a galaxy-wide civil war, commanding vast droid armies and recruiting systems to his cause. He was simultaneously a political leader, a military commander, and a Sith Lord, basically an evil Swiss Army knife. But ultimately, Darth Tyrannus was just another one of Darth Sidious's many pawns, discarded when Anakin was ready to take his place. His death at Anakin's hands was orchestrated by Palpatine, proving that in the game of Sith, you either win or you die. Still, Dooku proved that you could be a Sith Lord and still have impeccable manners. Number 7. Darth Maul. Darth Maul represents the epitome of elite Sith physical training. Raised from a young age by Darth Sidious, Maul was forged in the fires of hatred and destruction, becoming a living weapon. Where other Sith Lords studied ancient texts and played politics, Maul was basically raised in Sith boot camp, trained to be the perfect assassin. His debut in The Phantom Menace may have been short, but what an impression he made. That final duel on Naboo, with Duel of the Fates blaring and his double-bladed lightsaber spinning, redefined what lightsaber combat could be. And then Obi-Wan cut him in half. For most people, that's where the story ends. But Maul was too angry to die. Through pure hatred and dark side energy, he survived being bisected and falling down a reactor shaft. He spent years on a trash planet, insane and sporting spider legs made of garbage. That's not a comeback story. That's a refusing to read the room when death comes knocking story. His vengeance led him to take on his brother Savage Opress as his apprentice, conquer Mandalore, and claim the Darksaber. Throughout the Clone Wars and Rebels, Maul evolved from a silent assassin to a complex villain, establishing criminal empires and seeking revenge against everyone who wronged him. His final duel with Obi-Wan on Tatooine was poetry. Decades of hatred ended in 3 moves. Darth Maul survived injuries that would kill anyone else, conquered planets, and remained a threat for over 30 years. All because he was too angry to die when he was supposed to. Number 8. Darth Vader. Darth Vader was immensely powerful in the Force and one of the greatest lightsaber duelists. We're talking about someone who was literally conceived by the Force itself. His midi-chlorian count was over 20,000, which basically broke Qui-Gon's scanner. Even as a 9-year-old, he was pod racing and building protocol droids. By 19, he was one of the greatest warriors in the Clone Wars. But here's the tragedy of Vader. His injuries limited his potential. That little lava bath on Mustafar didn't just cost him his limbs. It cost him a significant portion of his Force potential. George Lucas himself stated that Vader operated at about 80% of Sidious's power, when he could have been twice as powerful if he'd kept his original parts. It's like buying a Ferrari and then having to drive it with 3 flat tires. Still, even at partial capacity, Vader was absolutely terrifying. He hunted down and killed the surviving Jedi, becoming the Empire's enforcer. His presence alone could clear a room. The man could choke you from across the galaxy through a video call. That's not just power, that's convenience. What made Vader truly powerful wasn't just his Force abilities or lightsaber skills, it was his reputation. Entire rebel cells would abandon operations just hearing he might be in the sector. The greatest tragedy? According to Lucas, if Anakin had remained whole, he would have become the most powerful Force user ever, surpassing even Sidious. Instead, we got a cyborg with respiratory issues who still managed to be the second most feared being in the galaxy. Even operating at partial capacity, Vader proved that being the chosen one still meant something. Number 9. Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious is easily the most successful Sith to ever live. He was able to almost single-handedly start a war, take control of the Senate, convert Anakin Skywalker to the dark side, overthrow the Jedi, and become Emperor of the Galactic Empire. That's not a resume, that's a masterclass in evil efficiency. What makes Sidious particularly terrifying is how he did it. This wasn't brute force. This was chess, played at a galactic scale. For decades, he was Senator Palpatine by day, Darth Sidious by night, playing both sides of a war he orchestrated. The Jedi Council had meetings in the same building as him for years and never knew. That's like hiding a shark in a swimming pool and nobody noticing until everyone's been eaten. Darth Sidious mastered the dark side, including Force Lightning and Essence Transfer. Force Lightning wasn't just his signature move, he turned it into an art form. He could torture Luke Skywalker with it, kill Mace Windu with it, and in The Rise of Skywalker, he literally disabled an entire fleet with it. He bested some of the strongest Jedi and Sith to ever live, including Yoda, who admitted Sidious was stronger. He was also able to transfer his essence, surviving his supposed demise by Darth Vader. Death is just a minor inconvenience when you can hop bodies like you're changing suits. Even when the good guys won, Sidious had a backup plan involving clones, ancient Sith artifacts, and planet-killing Star Destroyers. The man literally came back from the dead and announced his return via Fortnite. That's not just evil, That's evil with a marketing strategy. Number 10. Darth Bane. But wait, you might say, how is Bane more powerful than Sidious? Here's why. Darth Bane achieved something no other Sith Lord managed. He created a system that led to the complete victory of the Sith Order 1,000 years after his death. Every other Sith Lord's achievements were temporary. Empires fell, apprentices betrayed masters, power was gained and lost. But Bane's legacy endured for a millennium and ultimately resulted in the total annihilation of the Jedi Order. Being the only Sith to survive the war between the Jedi and the Sith, Bane witnessed the self-destruction of his order. From these ashes, Bane didn't just rebuild, he revolutionized. The Rule of Two wasn't just a clever organizational structure, it was a 1,000-year plan for revenge that actually worked. Think about the sheer willpower and vision required. Bane created a system where each Sith Lord would be stronger than the last, where knowledge would be preserved and passed down, where the Sith would grow in power secretly while the Jedi grew complacent. Every subsequent Sith Lord, Plagueis, Sidious, Maul, Tyrannus, Vader, they were all following Bane's blueprint. In his Clone Wars appearance, even as a Force Spectre bound to his tomb on Moraband, Bane demonstrated power that could challenge Yoda himself. But Bane's greatest power wasn't in combat. It was in understanding the true nature of the Sith and creating a system that turned their weakness into strength. Where Sidious's empire lasted roughly 24 years, Bane's system lasted a millennium. That's not just power, that's transcendent vision, coupled with the ability to make it reality. Darth Bane didn't just master the dark side, he mastered time itself.